Endless repetition. A reflection on authentic life from Martin Heidegger's point of view. Everyone's job title is a type of social role, such as being a carpenter, being an engineer, etc. But each of us also plays many other types of roles. Being a supporter of a certain party. Being a father or son. Being a Protestant or a Catholic. Being a fan of a certain team. Or being in a certain range of gender, class, etc. tendencies. Each of these roles requires a specific range of appropriate actions. Usually, a person plays these roles that define his identity in a strong non-selective way. That is because he submits to the pressure of public opinion to go along with the accepted norms of the group or culture to which he belongs. We submit to what Heidegger calls their dictatorship. The pressure for a person to do what all the people do, the same, all the people, as in the phrase, all the people eat tea for breakfast, is intended. This pressure compels us to level with the everyday life. We rejoice and enjoy ourselves in the same way that others rejoice and enjoy themselves. Our views, studies and judgments about literary and artistic works are the same as the views and judgments of others. We find what is disturbing what others find disturbing. According to Heidegger, the life of each individual is a function of others, or in other words, general thoughts. Usually, people are nothing more than loudspeakers from whom the self-congratulatory voice of them, which is the embodiment of monotonous opinions, tastes and judgments, is repeated over and over again. In other words, people are not really individuals, but are endless repetitions of each other. With a boring cliched life that if we know a few things about them, we can predict the rest. This life, which is not accompanied by authenticity, lacks something. It is as if such a life contains a mild sense of self-betrayal. This feeling gives a person as if he has given the reins of his life to others, while the only person who can be worthy of this position is himself. Heidegger believes that inauthentic life cannot be considered a peaceful life. There is a kind of internal conflict in humans, the cause of which is a kind of vague sense of self-betrayal. But the unoriginal life is, if not exactly peaceful, at least soothing. But what is this unpleasant thing? What is this thing that people seek refuge in to escape from it by becoming the same color as the congregation? What does man run away from? Here Heidegger makes an unexpected claim. Inauthenticity is actually an escape from death. Heidegger explains the assimilation of the congregation using a concept he calls distancing. Humans are built in such a way that they feel extremely uncomfortable if they deviate slightly from social norms. At the end of the day, it seems that distancing is a simple and straightforward fact about the human psyche, which cannot be explained in the form of simpler facts. But in the next parts of Being and Time, Heidegger provides an explanation for the strong desire of humans to stay in the field of social norms. According to Heidegger's explanation, it is as if a person feels that the air is cold away from the crowd. What is this cold? According to Heidegger, this cold is death. What we feel outside the crowd is the cold wind of death. To the extent that I associate myself with the crowd, I seem to have escaped death. To the extent that I do not see myself as a person for whom the question of how to live is a problem. To the extent that I see myself merely as a tool in which others they have the upper hand. To the extent that I see the only character on the scene is someone else's character, it seems that I have passed death. Therefore, running away from authenticity is actually running away from confronting death and running away from accepting its reality. Now, if the real motivation of an unauthentic life is to escape from death, we can conclude that the key to an authentic life is to directly and honestly confront the reality of one's mortality and its inevitability. Suppose someone really owns her own death so that her knowledge of death is not only at the stage of words and claims, but she lives her whole life in the light of her own mortality, then what will be the result? Heidegger believes that facing death forcibly separates Dasein from others. The reason for this is that one realizes that all being with others is useless when it comes to death. Of course, this punishment may not last more than a moment. One may quickly hide it under the usual covers. But let's assume that man does not escape from this point. Heidegger believes that in such a state, Dasein finds its own individuality. When I understand that entering death is something I must do alone, and that at the moment of death all my social ties leave me alone, I clearly recognize my individuality. And I will be resistant to the pressure of following the norms of public opinion. Heidegger considers this happening in the existence of the individual as the introduction of autonomy. A topic that requires another opportunity to expand.